So we now move into a very, shall we say, happy occasion of our meeting, which is the presentation awards. So this is the 2022 NAM award ceremony. Each year, the NAM presents several awards, 3 membership awards of outstanding service to NAM from our members, 2 awards recognizing the individual excellence in health and medicine, which is the Gustav O. Linhart Award for Advancement of Healthcare, and the Rhonda and Bernard Sarnat International Prize in Mental Health. This year, for the first time, we have an inaugural award, which is the David and Beatrice Hamburg Award for Advance in Biomedical Research in Clinical Area. So joining me today are the chairs of the respective award selection committees who present the award. But let me first turn to, again, Elena Fontos-Affleck from UCSF and the Home Secretary, because among the roles of a Home Secretary, in fact, is to chair the Membership Awards Selection Committee and present this year's, and she'll present this year's Membership Awards. So, Elena.
Thank you, Victor. It is really my honor to have this opportunity to present 3 very special awards, and I want to thank the members of the awards committee and thank all of you who nominated candidates for these awards. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to let our guests in to join in the award ceremony. So we'll take just a moment to allow non-members to come and join us in our celebration.
After 3 years of COVID,
This morning, I am honored to present 3 awards to NAM members in different categories, and I'm going to begin with the Walsh McDermott Award. The Walsh McDermott Medal is awarded to a member of the National Academy of Medicine in recognition of distinguished service to the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine over an extended period of time. This year, I'm proud to announce Dr. Michael M. E. Johns as the 2022 Walsh McDermott Medal winner. Dr. Johns is Professor Emeritus and former Executive Vice President for Health Affairs at Emory University. He is nationally recognized as a thought leader in academic medicine and health policy. Since his election to the NAM in 1993, Dr. Johns has been a highly engaged member. Among the highlights of his contributions to the NAM include serving on the membership committee as Vice Chair and Chair for Section 6, on the NAM Council, including 1 year as Vice Chair, and serving on the governing board of the National Research Council. Dr. Johns has served on numerous committees, and in 2009, he chaired the Committee on Optimizing Graduate Medical Trainee Hours and Work Schedules to Improve Patient Safety, which produced a consensus report that evaluated the impact of medical resident schedules on healthcare safety and made impactful recommendations. From 2010 through 2013, Dr. Johns was a member of the Roundtable on Value and Science-Driven Healthcare. From 2018 to 2019, he chaired the Committee on a National Strategy for Cancer Control in the United States. Most recently, we tapped Dr. Johns to serve on the Program Planning Committee for the 50th Anniversary Regional Symposia. Dr. Johns is celebrated for his mentorship and his positivity, which inspires others to deliver their best work and boldly face challenges. As an academic leader, Dr. Johns has shaped many leaders in all fields of medicine. Based on 3 decades of engaged and impactful service to the National Academy of Medicine, please join me in congratulating Dr. Michael Johns for receiving the 2022 Walsh McDermott Medal.
There you go. I get a minute? Thank you. Well, I've been given 1 minute to speak to you, which resonates perfectly with me because I did spend a little bit of time in the seminary before my interest in biology exceeded my interest in celibacy. And you got it. And I had to take a course in homiletics, and the one lesson I walked away from that course was, be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. Now, I can do 2 of those things. So let me get a go. So I want to say thank you, Elena. I am honored to receive the Walsh McDermott Award from the National Academy of Medicine. It's been a privilege to work with the National Academy of Medicine members and the staff on committees, studies, various activities over nearly 30 years now. The National Academy of Medicine has and does make a difference that guides government and other organizations to create a better and healthier world. And I thank you for this award.
The next award I will be presenting is the Adam Yarmolinsky Medal, which is awarded to a member of the National Academy of Medicine from a discipline outside of the health and medical sciences. It recognizes distinguished service by a member who, over a significant period of time, has contributed in multiple ways to the mission of the National Academy of Medicine. This year, I am proud to announce Dr. Dean Jamieson as the 2022 recipient of the Adam Yarmolinsky Medal. Dr. Jamieson is Professor Emeritus of Global Health, Epidemiology, and Biostatistics at the University of Washington. Throughout his distinguished career, Dr. Jamieson has made unparalleled contributions to global health by bringing economic science and ideas to the forefront. He worked at the World Bank as a research economist and served as the lead author for the 1993 World Development Report, Investing in Health, which transformed global financing for health. Dr. Jamieson served on the Committee on Population Health from 1991 through 1994 and on the Board on Global Health for 17 years, including 4 years as chair. In this role, Dr. Jamieson was a liaison to the Committee on the Economics of Anti-Malarial Drugs, which produced a 2004 consensus study that recommended the creation of a global-level subsidy for effective artemisinin combination therapies. Dr. Jamieson championed efforts to create a new framework for the economic burden of disease, leading to a standardized way to create an overall metric for a disease burden which incorporates an economic dimension, including the large contribution of health. More recently, he has worked with biologists to explore the economics of innate immunity in preventing COVID infection. Dr. Jamieson's nominators describe him as the most original and influential economist working on health in the world. In particular, Dr. Jamieson has been impactful by bringing economic science and ideas into global health in groundbreaking, influential ways. Join me in congratulating Dr. Dean Jamieson, for receiving the 2022 Adam Yarmolinsky Medal.
Apologies for the fluff there.
Well, good morning, and thank you to the Academy for recognizing the work that I've been involved with. I also want to take this minute to thank the Academy for another dimension of my involvement with it, where when I was with the World Bank, we collaborated closely with the Academy on several major projects, some of those which were just mentioned, and the inputs throughout of Academy individuals as reviewers and Academy committees played a key role in the development of a lot of the work that I have been involved with. So thanks to the Academy for both.
The final award I will announce is the David Rahl Medal, which is awarded to a member of the National Academy of Medicine in recognition of distinguished leadership as chair of a study committee or other activities, and for demonstrating commitment above and beyond the usual responsibilities. This year, I am proud to announce Dr. Richard Jackson as the 2022 recipient of the David Rahl Medal. Dr. Jackson is a pediatrician, professor emeritus at the University of California, Los Angeles, and a national leader in environmental health. His career has included leadership roles in state and federal public health organizations and featured innovative and far-reaching contributions, as well as prominent academic roles. In 2011, Dr. Jackson chaired the National Academy's committee, which produced the report, Improving Health in the United States, the Role of Health Impact Assessment. The report was timely and clear, and a decade later, this report remains a seminal resource on health impact assessment. In his role as committee leader, Dr. Jackson integrated input from diverse committee members, including community representatives and academics. An important part of his remarkable committee leadership was the way he translated his state-level public health experience in California with environmental impact assessments into a rigorous methodologic framework. More recently, Dr. Jackson has demonstrated unwavering leadership in bringing climate change as a health concern to the NAM agenda, beginning with his decade of service on the Roundtable on Environmental Health Sciences, Research, and Medicine. In particular, he organized key meetings, reached out to colleagues to solicit their engagement, and was instrumental in forming Interest Group 19. Dr. Jackson co-chaired the Interest Group during its inaugural year, which coincided with the National Academy's launch of the Grand Challenge on Climate Change, Human Health, and Equity. Dr. Jackson's nominators lauded him for his ability to bring public health to the public, as exemplified by his popular 2011 book, Designing Healthy Communities. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Dick Jackson for receiving the 2022 David Rahl Medal. Dr. Jackson is not able to join us in person, but he has asked me to read a few remarks. Thanks to the National Academy, my fellow members, and my nominators, with sincere gratitude for your leadership. Over the last 4 years, I have focused on climate, heating, and health, and we have made genuine progress, which must not be allowed to become stale. David Rahl was one of my heroes. He helped many of us, and he offered me valuable guidance as I began my directorship at the CDC's National Center for Environmental Health. David Rahl knew that people cannot be healthy in unhealthy environments. Thanks to his hard work, today Americans have much lower levels of harmful agents in their bodies, toxicants like lead and mercury. As we consider David Rahl's legacy, I find myself wondering, what would David Rahl tell us as we confront today's challenges? Our greatest health challenges are based on the syndemics of obesity, physical inactivity, diabetes, and depression, which leave us more vulnerable to all threats, including COVID. I believe David Rahl might tell us to focus not only on what gets into our bodies, but to pay more attention to the places where we live, places which make it harder for all of us, especially the poor and persons of color, to lead healthy lives. I think Dr. Rahl would be devoting his energies to addressing climate change. Finally, we must understand how this syndemic and community violence are driven by the places we build, how we live, and how elements of our culture represent obstacles to healthy options for ourselves, our communities, and our planet. Let's advocate for the right to live in healthy places, in a healthy world, to address the needs of the poor, and ensure a healthy future for our grandchildren and beyond. Thank you for this honor. Should we take a picture with his medal?
Thank you. Well, let's have another round of applause for the NA Member Awards. Thank you, Elena, very much. So now turning to the Gustav O. Linhart Award for Advancement of Healthcare. This award was established in 1986 and is presented annually by the National Academy of Medicine in honor of Gustav Linhart, who's the chairman of the RWJ Foundation's Board of Trustees from 1971 to 1986. The award recognizes individuals for outstanding achievement in improving healthcare services in the United States. I'd like to ask Clyde Lenzi from Northwestern University, who's the chair of this year's selection committee, to join me on stage to present this award. Clyde?
Thank you, Victor, and good afternoon to friends and colleagues. I am delighted to announce the winner of this year's Gustav O. Linhart Award for Advancement of Healthcare. The winner is Mary D. Naylor. Dr. Naylor is the Marion S. Ware Professor of Gerontology and Director of the New Cortlandt Center for Transitions and Health at the University of Pennsylvania School of Nursing. A bit about her qualifications. For more than 20 years, she has led a multidisciplinary team generating and disseminating research to improve care for older adults. This has included engaging at-risk older adults in important conversations. This has included identifying and advocating for causes that enable the health of older adults. And this has especially included providing continuity of care resources to enable better health for older adults. Amongst the many clinical efforts and trials she's led, one of the findings merits special commentary. Through her work using the transitional care model, she's been able to address a particularly vexing problem in American medicine, that is, reducing avoidable rehospitalizations in older adults, particularly for the condition heart failure, condition about which Mary knows that I know well. This has been sufficiently successful that aspects of the transitional care model have been deployed in 46 states for this same reason. We need to close the loop on the other 4 states, okay? I'd also like to indicate that in addition to her leadership with the transitional care models, Mary has been a strident advocate for the profession of nursing. For over 10 years, she served as the National Program Director for the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation-sponsored Interdisciplinary Nursing Quality Research Initiative. Through this work, she's been a beacon, a role model for the next generation of nursing, and I know for a fact she has mentored innumerable nurses through their early careers, and this is particularly important for academic nursing, so we thank you for those contributions. I think it's best said by our own President Victor Zhao when we think about her most important qualification. Her pioneering research placed a national spotlight on what is possible when health and social care systems are aligned with people's goals and changing needs in order to address social determinants at the point of care. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, I am delighted to introduce to you Mary Naylor as the 37th recipient of the Linhart Award.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you for the members of the nominating committee and all who supported my nomination for this fantastic recognition today. I have a little sign in my kitchen. It has 3 words: thankful, grateful, and blessed. Notably, this was a sign provided by our financial advisor during a very different year in the market. But I am increasingly drawn to this sign and reflecting on the many, many gifts that I have been given, for which I am enormously thankful and grateful. I've spent most of my career at the University of Pennsylvania, where the North Star is team science for major, positive, transformative impact on society. and its School of Nursing and the New Cortland Center for Transitions and Health, where we embrace that vision, work tirelessly in teams to not just produce findings, but to rapidly implement them to change local and global communities to be better than they are today. What is really special about the school, though, it is casting a light, illuminating nursing's critical contribution on these local and global problems. I have the great fortune to collaborate with an unbelievably gifted and unbelievably generous research team and staff, with clinicians, and a very big shout out to those trailblazing advanced practice registered nurses with whom I've had the great fortune to work, and to partner with health system leaders, community leaders in diverse communities across this country and the globe who share in common a belief that we can do what is possible, that we can make it better. We've had many, many gorgeous sponsors. Continue, please continue. But the NIH, many foundations, payers, and worked with policymakers who, despite our sometimes spectacular failures, continue to trust in us and believe that we can and should continue to spread and scale what we're learning. And of course, I've had the great fortune to work with many in this room from whom I have learned immeasurably. Inspired every day by the stories, hundreds of stories that we collect from older adults and their families about what isn't happening, breakdowns in care, gaps in services that lead to really incredible, devastating human consequences, our team decides to act, to build the science, and to partner with those who are trying to make it happen so that people can live the lives where they get to achieve what matters to them. That, to me, is my greatest blessing, topped only by the unconditional love of a magical family, 3 daughters with me today, who, they're not nurses. I am now working on my 4 grandchildren. But they get it. They get what it means to use every gift you have for the betterment of others. And so today, I am thankful, I am grateful, I am blessed to be receiving the 2022 Gustav Leonhardt Award, honored and humbled to be in the company of so many others prior recipients whom I keep saying, how did I get here? And very proud of this symbol of the work and dedication and commitment of so many others to help and support a whole host of people who are counting on us. So thank you.
Of course, another round of applause, right? So thank you, Clyde, and congratulations, Mary. Well deserved. Now on to our next award, the Rhonda and Bernard Sarnett International Prize in Mental Health. This award's been awarded every year since 1992 to individuals, groups, or organizations that have demonstrated outstanding achievement in improving mental health. Now, Sarnett's concerns about the destructive effect on mental illness inspired them to establish this award. And Rhonda passed away in 2018, and her husband Bernard passed away in 2011. However, the legacy lives on in the deeds of this award recipients, and this year is especially celebrating 30 years of anniversary of this award. So I'd like to ask Peter McClish from the Morehouse School of Medicine, chair of this year's selection committee, to stage to introduce this year's awardee. Peter. Good to see you.
President Zhao, members of the National Academies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of members of the SARNAT Selection Committee, staffed superbly by Donna Duncan, and made up of Ellen Frank, Richard Frank, Ranga Krishnan, Spiro Manson, last year's winner, Eric Nessler, Barbara Vickery, and myself, I'm pleased to recognize the 2022 recipient of the Rhoda and Bernard SARNAT International Prize in Mental Health, Dr. Daniel Geschwin. He has many titles. He is the Gordon and Virginia McDonald Distinguished Professor in Neurology, Psychiatry, and Human Genetics, Senior Associate Dean and Associate Vice Chancellor for Precision Health, Director, Center for Autism Research and Treatment at UCLA. Now, quoting liberally from the nomination materials, Dr. Geschwin is recognized for groundbreaking scientific achievement and leadership in the area of autism genetics. He is acknowledged as a pioneer in neurogenetics and in the functional genomics of neurologic and psychiatric disorders. He blends translational and basic research and integrates population genetics, functional genomics, bioinformatics, and basic and clinical neuroscience to understand neuropsychiatric diseases and to find cures or treatments. He helped to create the Autism Genetic Resource Exchange, which was the first major community resource for genetic research on autism spectrum disorders. By making biomaterials and phenotype data easily accessible, the exchange opened up the field to many more researchers and led to discoveries including the role of rare mutations and inherited variation. Additionally, the development of a resource designed to be shared broadly and made available to researchers worldwide created a new paradigm for research in psychiatric genetics. His own work in autism genetics and functional genomics has also been influential. His work has focused on translating genetic findings to biological processes. He developed the notion of autism spectrum disorders as a developmental disconnection syndrome and recognized its extreme heterogeneity, framing the disorder as the autisms. He pioneered the study of language and social endophenotypes in genetic studies and demonstrated how transcriptomic and epigenetic profiling could be used to define the molecular pathology in autism spectrum disorders and other neuropsychiatric disorders. Finally, Dr. Geschwin has increased the participation of underrepresented patients in autism research and is leading the only study of genetics in African Americans, which is in its 7th year. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Daniel Geschwin as I invite him to the podium. To receive his prize and make remarks.
Thank you. I get 1 minute. I come to you the last 30 years living in California, and I'm sorry to say I've never been invited to the Academy Awards, but it's my great pleasure to thank the Academy today. So I really want to thank Dr. McLeish and the members of the SARNAT committee, Dr. Zhao, and the National Academy of Medicine for this award. I am truly humbled to be honored in this way by this extraordinary organization. I'm also really fortunate that I'm in a profession where the work itself is its own reward. I'm very lucky to be joined and supported here by my loving family, including my wife Sandy and my 3 children, Eli, Maya, and Jonah, in order of age, not a preference, and my colleagues. So this award implicitly recognizes the role of basic and translational research in genetics and genomics, which have allowed us to begin to demystify psychiatric disorders, in this case in tackling autism spectrum disorder, by identifying some of its root causes. We have learned that the spectrum is very heterogeneous, not one size fits all certainly, necessitating the development of future precision medicine approaches to improve outcomes. These advances and their promise are really exciting. But despite this progress, there still is a long way to go, both in defining genetic risk for autism spectrum disorders and in translating this knowledge to understanding its neurobiological mechanisms and to develop treatments that actually improve the quality of life for those on the spectrum. And importantly, as was mentioned, ensuring representation of diverse populations in our research, which is essential in genetics and, of course, biomedicine more broadly. Our work in this area was, and it continues to be, fueled by important community partnerships, essentially with parent-run organizations. I'm grateful for these partnerships as they've really framed my career, and they've been fundamental to our progress. Lastly, this work represents the brilliance of dozens of graduate students and postdoctoral fellows, as well as many collaborators. I have been very fortunate to have extremely talented trainees and generous colleagues who, along with the highly collaborative environment that I've been fortunate to be in for most of my career at UCLA, have supported this work. Thank you again for this honor.
We got all the scripts here. There we go. Congratulations again. Now for the final but the newest award of the ceremony. You know, I've always felt that our awards recognize great work in all different aspects. But I think one thing that we have not done as much as recognizing the importance of biomedical research, clinical research that's really made an impact on human health. And so it's with this in mind that we thought about creating the new David and Beatrice Hamburg Award. It's for advances in biomedical research and clinical medicine, which recognizes creative and accomplished biomedical scientists who are advancing health and human condition around the world. So we wrote this very carefully in terms of the speculation, or specs, if you will, of the award. Now, the award is named after David Hamburg and Beatrice Hamburg. You all know who they are. They're big names in the health and medicine world, in the broader societal world, and of course in NAM. David Hamburg was the president of the IOM from 1975 to 1980, and Beatrice Hamburg, an NAM member, expert in child and adolescent behavioral health. So I'm so glad that we created this award, and this new award is to recognize excellence in biomedical science, but as I said, in translate clinical medicine and having impact in the world. And we have such a distinguished and deserving inaugural awardee. I'd like to invite Huda Zoghbi. She chairs the committee for selection. She helped me design the selection process from Baylor College of Medicine to join me in presenting the Hamburg Award.
Thank you. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Jeffrey Gordon, the winner of the inaugural David and Beatrix Hamburg Award for his pioneering contributions to microbiome research. Dr. Gordon is a physician-scientist who is the Dr. Robert J. Glasser Distinguished University Professor and director of the Edison Family Center for Genome Sciences and Systems Biology at Washington University School of Medicine. Dr. Gordon has received many honors, prizes, and honorary degrees, and is a member of the National Academy of Medicine, National Academy of Sciences, and the Academy of Arts and Sciences. Over 26 years ago, Dr. Gordon used transgenic and mosaic mouse models to show that environmental cues are critical for some features of gut epithelial differentiation. And he then went on to reveal that some of these cues come from the host microbiota interactions. His elegant studies transplanting microbiota from genetically obese mice into wild-type, germ-free mice revealed that the receiving mice had increased adiposity and metabolic changes compared to mice receiving microbiota from lean animals. This discovery highlighted the potential contributions of microbes to non-communicable diseases, laid the foundation for a new era in the study of microbiota, and charted the path for a whole new field of exciting biomedical research. Recognizing the potential impact of microbiome research on human health, he wrote a white paper in 2005 proposing a human microbiome initiative, laying the foundation for the National Institutes of Health Human Microbiome Project. During the past decade, Dr. Gordon's work focused on addressing the global health challenge of children malnutrition, which is the leading cause of death in children under the age of 5 years worldwide. It turns out that undernutrition is not solely due to food insecurity, but is associated with impaired gut microbiome development, where the microbiome is immature and less diverse and is not repaired with the current nutritional interventions. To develop culturally acceptable, affordable, and scalable treatments for malnutrition, he screened combinations of Bangladeshi foods that are given to children at the time of weaning in mice and piglets harboring the communities from undernourished Bangladeshi children. This helped identify food formulations enriched for the bacterial taxa underrepresented in the malnourished children. A proof of concept, randomized, controlled clinical trial showed that a formulation dubbed microbiome-directed complementary food 2 produced significantly greater rates of weight gain in the children with moderate acute malnutrition compared to existing supplementary food. Mechanistic studies revealed the superiority of this formulation could be due to its effect on plasma proteins mediating musculoskeletal development, neurodevelopment, metabolism, and inflammation, and on the abundance of the bacterial taxa he identified in his preclinical studies. These findings, together with his studies of the small intestinal microbiome in stunted children, as well as infants with severe acute malnutrition, support a causal link between healthy microbiome development and healthy growth, and provide a new approach for treating childhood undernutrition. Dr. Gordon has trained and mentored more than 140 graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. These Gordon Lab graduates are also contributing to shaping the field of microbiome research and championing collaborative research to benefit all, including historically marginalized populations. Congratulations, Dr. Gordon, for your pioneering contributions to our understanding of microbiota and its multiple roles in health and disease.
I want to thank the Hamburg family, Victor Zhao, for creating this award, and the selection committee for the great honor of being its inaugural recipient. It's a special pleasure to receive this award on the 50th anniversary of the NAM, an organization whose first president was David Hamburg, whose first acting president was Dr. Robert J. Glazer, a great leader in American medicine who helped promote the careers of so many talented young biomedical scientists. It's a privilege to hold an endowed chair with his name. I accept this award with deep gratitude on behalf of the amazing group of students, staff, and colleagues who have had great curiosity, a deep commitment to learning, the courage to explore the unknown, and a willingness to cross traditional disciplinary boundaries to obtain answers to questions they found to be captivating. Equally important, they've had a wonderful sense of community, a shared belief that discoveries and innovation are born from caring, supportive, respectful, trusting, collaborative environments where we can freely share our ideas with one another and, at the same time, not be afraid to say, "I don't understand," so that we can learn together. There's an African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In many ways, the type of environment they created and perpetuated, and their support of one another, illustrate the foundations for interdisciplinary research and for human flourishing. Spirit, hope, trust, kindness, generosity, a shared sense of purpose, and a shared joy. We are seeing how microbiome research can inspire us to expand our understanding of the human condition, since in so many respects, the microbiome reflects the varied ways we live, the gradients in wealth and access to resources that currently exist, as well as the health disparities that we must acknowledge, address, and surmount. Seeing global health challenges embraced by students in ways that reflect their humility, passion, empathy, courage, creativity, and a commitment to innovation gives me hope for the future and for our children and grandchildren. Finally, thank you, Charlotte Haar, my 8-year-old granddaughter, who's in the audience, for the inspiration that you and your generation give to our shared, hopeful journey, seeking ways to make the world a better place for all of its inhabitants. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations again, and to Jeff and all our recipients, awardees. So really wonderful. Thank you. Now it's time for lunch. It's available for everyone in the tent, and of course the awardees and their family and guests in the West Court. So thank you again for a wonderful morning. Thank you.